So they found it up here.
Like the night before the search that got us nowhere. So I think we were all just like, we'll never find it.
We can't find anything.
We're no good at this.
We suck at finding things. Yeah, well, that was like my first time up here. Like, this is my first cruise. And so my first time in the chair was like, okay, here you go. You're at Godzilla. Go find bars. and there's a voice in one ear saying, oh, it's pretty far to the southwest. And there's a voice in the other ear saying, no, 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 it's up to the northeast.
And in the meantime, there's clouds of smoke everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not that quick to go from the southwest to the northeast.
No, it is not. It's not quick to do much of anything.
And so it was not. We didn't find it. We didn't find it in the end.
It's
There was
challenging.
there was an autonomous bars. That's the only thing that we never did find.
It is the autonomous bars, yeah. Yeah, and there's a dive plan for the telly to go have a look, but I'd like to try to prepare something for them using the nav like that we have from this cruise, and also maybe putting together some nav from when we placed it.
Yeah.
To try to come up with some sort of search plan, because
a plan? No way.
Yeah, because I got here and they were like, go find bars, and no one can remember where it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, somebody put it somewhere, and there should be data on that.
Was it actually placed? It wasn't air launched?
It was placed.
Wow.
Yeah, and temperature probed and gas tighted.
Promptly lost.
And then, yeah, never to be seen again.
You'd think there would be a record of that somewhere.
Yeah. Video.
Yeah, that's right.
All kinds of records.
So I think we can do better.
Can't find that, but man, I can take it as some bead bags for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely found a few bead bags my day.
How was your first cruise? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, very much. Very much so.
Good.
I did not enjoy my first cruise.
What was your first cruise?
Or
you mean not on Nautilus? You didn't enjoy your first cruise on Nautilus?
My first cruise ever. I was working for Oceanic Measurement, and they had a contract to do tech support for some instrumentation that Dr. David Farmer was putting out. And it was storm research. So he never had to compete for ship time. He went out in November and February off coast.
Brutal.
So my first cruise, when I was interviewing for the job at Oceanic, the guy said, have you ever been...
Sorry, just a second.
Yeah.
Just watch your angle now. I'd start going back the other way.
I did.
Oh, you're already on it. There you go.
Thank you.
There's.
They said, have you ever been seasick? And I said, no. And they looked at each other and smiled.
Brutal.
Okay, this is not a good sign. Yeah, we got beat to death out there. And to borrow an expression that I learned from my dad, I felt like I was going to die, and I was afraid I might not.
Yeah, the weather on this cruise has been pretty good.
Shockingly good. Yeah, I've heard nothing but horror stories.
Cushy weather cruise, for sure.
Yeah, I just had those 2 days.
Yeah, and even they weren't so bad.
I have a Neptune Canada souvenir T-shirt that celebrates a 16.9 meter wave.
Oh.
That was recorded.
Jeez.
While we were out there. It's about 45 or 50 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrifying.
That wasn't the average wave height, or I probably wouldn't be here to tell you. But it was pretty rough.
My first cruise was with USGS on George's Bank. Also, I think in November. It was my first time on anything bigger than a ferry, and I threw up for 5 days.
Yeah, I have some fond memories of George's Bank as well.
I wouldn't call it fun, though. I went out again in the summer, and we did get a lot of scallops, which was lovely. Lovely bonus.
I spent 2 10-day trips around George's Bank on a big lobster boat.
Doing what?
Big for a lobster boat,
Yeah.
small for a expedition vessel. Exploratory vessel, what's EV?
Yeah.
Doing what? I was doing I was taking measurements on the winches and traps that they were deploying to try to figure out why their lines would snarl in certain sea states. So running analysis for the lobstermen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When I was out, it was the Delaware, I think, or Delaware 2. No, really pretty small now that I think about it, but it was like, there was the only seat to sit on was an upside down bucket, and I had to share it with the guy who was out on the winch. So when he came in off the winch, I had to give up the bucket.
I'd go out on these fishing vessels and they wouldn't really keep me busy enough. So I would have to decide between, doing nothing at all, which makes time go by real slow, and helping out in some way. The only place that they really wanted my help was on the lobster claw banding table. So like they'd bring all the lobsters in and they'd throw them onto this big table, and you just have kind of like a banding tool. It's like almost like reverse scissors. You squeeze it and it opens up an elastic band, and you just have to grab the lobster claws and put the elastic bands on them. I got pretty good at it.
All on a moving vessel.
On a moving vessel.
That sounds exciting.
With like the guys, so they're emptying the traps, and they're like replacing the bait. So you're standing next to a bucket full of like fresh bait, and then another bucket full of the used bait. And
sounds tasty.
Not to mention aromatic.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the worst parts, is that the whole vessel smelled like bait, like just decomposing fish, including your bunk, right? Like you just couldn't escape it. It was all in your clothes. So, I mean, to add to the seasickness. This vessel smells a lot better.
Yeah, ROVs are nice. We do, the last 2 years though, we've been taking out these National Geographic drop cameras, which are quite fun. They're just these big spheres with a camera that we drop down, and then it has a galvanized, well, it has a time release, like a burn wire, and then a galvanized release as a backup, but we have to bait it. And like, I'm not a biologist, right? So when they're like, okay, so you mash the fish, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you mash the fish? They're like, when you bait something. I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm a geo. I don't deal with dead fish.
Yeah,
so
just rub the dead fish on the ball.
We would put them in a bag and like take them out and smash them up with a hammer. It was disgusting. It was like this slurry of fish into the canister. And somehow it was always me getting that job, Lindsay and Miles are, all hardcore until it comes to smashing fish and putting the slurry in a canister.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, me either. But the drop camera was fun. I like deploying that. It's pretty cool.
I think it's dinner time.
For my thesis, I was looking a lot at like frequency response stuff with sonars, and those were intriguing papers, like how they were measuring this out at sea. They would have like a cubic meter aquarium and like like tiny little things on strings in the middle of it, and like hitting it with the sonar like on a moving ship. It just sounded ridiculous. They're like gluing plankton to thin strings. Yeah, it makes this look easy. Can't imagine trying to do that.
In support of Dr. Mark Trevorrow doing some sonar work, I don't want to say wasted, significant part of my life trying to help calibrate sonars with like putting tungsten
Oh yeah,
carbide
isn't
balls
that
in the water.
ridiculous? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can't believe that's still like the best method, right? Yeah. Yeah, we did that. The Okeanos has EK, so they do that. I haven't been out for that, but again, on the Tangaroa, we were doing experiments with frequency response, and so we had the EKs and then the multi-beam, and so we spent 2 days trying to get a ball under the sonar. Lost one. It's just, and that they do that every time they go out. It's like such a crazy time-intensive thing, and yeah, so technical. You're standing there with a fishing rod, and it's like, all right, let 2 rolls out, bring 2 rolls back in, you know, talking to each other from different sides of the boat. It's amazing to me that it works at all.
Oh, it does?
It does, yeah. I mean, they'll be like, yeah, we got it, and then they move it through the beam, and I'm like, it's just like pure luck that it ever gets under there.
Seemed like it's all smoke and mirrors to me. They're trying to set up gains. Early days, I wasn't entirely convinced that what I was doing made any sense, but we're working in a tank inside, trying to calibrate the gains on some sonar transducers, and I had to do some reading to figure out why my results were all over the place. But leave the sonar on for any significant length of time, you send up standing waves and reflections.
Yeah.
In the tank, you have to just pulse it.
Okay.
And it's an amazing difference in the results if you actually do it right.
Kim, you're starting to get out in the rhubarb there.
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Got to kind of tighten it up as we get closer, right? Because it takes a bit of time to correct.
Roger that. Yes. It's kind of marginal. A lot of noise on some of those indicators. Oh, I don't know. I presume it's noise. What's the thing's going instantaneously from 2,500 to 2,800 psi.
Oh, yeah.
Also with doing the calibration, when I got down on the Tangaroa, I went to the guy who was kind of running the experiments. I'm like, how can I help? And he handed me the tungsten ball, and he's like, make the nest for it. It's like, You're joking. So there was like 10 of us sitting around a table all trying to make that little knot bag to hold it in place. That's not easy to do.
No. You know how to tie a monkey's fist? You can tie a monkey's fist with a ball inside.
Yeah.
It's really sweet when you're finished. Or you can put it in a sock, tie a string around it. Job done.
I don't think that's the recommended method, but thought about it. Can we like 3D print a little net for this thing?
Come around, use it. It's interesting being on the live mic. I've actually, that's a revelation for me. I can actually construct and utter coherent sentences with all the expletives deleted.
You're doing very well.
I dropped the ball once.
Happens to everybody.
I think it helps that it's an alcohol-free ship.
For sure. Well, usually the SCFs keep us in line too. They're here to remind us to be good. Oh, coming on 500 meters. I gotta do something soon.
20 minutes.
Get to work.
This recovery is going to be very stressful.
No, it's not. It's
For
gonna be
Mike.
fine. For Mike, yeah, maybe. I have faith in you.
We're fine. It's easy. You don't actually do very much recovering with Herc, Kim. It's more just making sure he's in the right place. Like once they're at the surface, not really.
So
Driving ahead and back basically is all you're doing.
staying at the surface, do you maintain like full vertical up?
No, you just need to keep the vehicle on the surface. I think today is so light, I don't think you'll have to have any on.
Was often an issue with that other vehicle. It's like pretty much it was like full vertical up the whole time to keep it.
Yeah, if you see him getting like pushed under waves and stuff like that, you know, you put a little bit on, just whatever you have to do to stay on the surface.
What vehicle was it? Was it OE when we got close to the hull, the compass would go nuts? If you had the auto head off, had the auto head on, it would just take off.
I don't remember that happening to that vehicle. It's possible. I mean, most of the time they have for ONC anyway, they have octans on there.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, early days we were trying to use a magnetic compass.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you hear that? Is the next dive the Barkley corrosion experiment still?
Yep, at Barkley Canyon Axis IP.
Kim, maybe try and get a little bit more lateral on.
Yeah,
I know you're right on the edge of
right on the edge of
dumping
doing
the
nothing.
pump, but yeah, not making any headway.
Eek. Okay, that's not better.
I'd say that's a current layer dragging you over there, though.
Yeah, it's really not coming around.
So it's all right. Like in this case, you know, Aaron's going to start moving us ahead at point 2 in a few minutes anyway. So that'll correct some of it. So, I mean, you're doing all you can right now. You can get a little bit more aggressive with it and turn the heading and hold the heading over. But at the end of the day, if there's a significant current down there and everything, you know, it only has so much thrust. So I would just leave it like this for now and see how it behaves when we start going ahead.
Right.
Worst case scenario, we just hold at 50 and line it up.
Is there anything you guys need to do to prevent us from getting underway as soon as we're all secure on deck?
No, just the standard stuff, just a few minutes to get the science goodies off if they've taken any samples, rinse the vehicle off, but it's normal.
Okay. We'll probably bring the engines up pretty much right away, but won't be going anywhere for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, the Argus is having a hard time getting over there.
That's pretty.
And
Glowy
pull ahead a
green.
little more, Kim. Yeah, something like that.
Got no pressure
Yeah,
there.
just try and walk it back a tiny bit until you get like 25 or so. That's good there. Let's see what this amounts to.
Are you happy with our configuration for recovery? Can we start steaming ahead at 0.2 knots? Thank you.
So before you come up, Kim, you want to be aware of the wind vector for the ship too. They're generally right into it,
Right.
but you should check. So that looks good. The current is dubious. It's just calculated from the remainder. It's not directly. So well, that looks good. But if you ever see it way out of whack, you might want to talk to them and tell them to point their nose into it.
That one's the wind current.
If I bring the head back a little bit.
Yeah, you can try that. Now, if you do that, you got to pay more attention to it because there's a chance that you can, the cable goes slack, the vehicle could turn all the way around, right? So, yep, go ahead, but.
Lady's not for turning.
Is that current pushing you out?
Yeah, definitely a current there. Well, the ship's barely moving yet, Kim, so just give it a few minutes. Like I say, it's no real stress. You're doing all you can. If it doesn't line up, we just wait at 50, and then it's way easier to get it because you don't have to use all this flow for going up anymore, right?
Right.
That I don't like. No, take that out. Yeah, you got to keep some lateral on there if you're going to do that. Just try it with just the lateral, like a little bit ahead and a lot of lateral on Kim, just the way you were for most of the way coming up. Yeah.
Ships up at 0.2 to 0.3 mostly.
Coming around a little bit.
Mm.
Yep.
Current often quite different near the surface, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there is often this really different current layer, like a few hundred meters under.
Kim Juniper was looking at in the straight rivers in the ocean, and totally fascinating using the Doppler. The fairly coherent flows, just like a river, down, not necessarily on the bottom, but just like in the water column. I think, how is that even a thing? I was talking about you working with Trevorrow
Okay, 100 meters.
sonars. We were looking at sound speed anomalies in the mixed layer, and I was really impressed that the mixed layer can be like 50 meters in a good storm.
Yeah.
Bubble clouds down to 50 meters.
So if we get to 50 and you're not lined up, are we going to hold it at 50?
Yep.
I just convey that to Mark at 50 and holding it.
Yeah, because you're going to be talking to him then anyway. He says, are you okay to come up? Just say, no, we're okay. We're just repositioning Hercs to standby one.
Okay.
So let him know why, but. Now you can see how you're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I might myself just say go on with it and gamble on getting, because it's pretty close.
Yep.
But we'll get you perfect, and then we'll come on up, because you do lose the nav, right? So we'll just get it going as best we can. But it's coming together there anyway.
So do you normally stop at 50, or if it's
Well, we
looking
always
good,
well
just
you
keep
yeah
going?
you've been sitting here, right? We always stop at 50 to hand them the winch, and then we
Right.
go into this like launch and recover
Screen.
thing, right? Yep. Yeah, we're only going to need a minute or two.
Yeah, it's really coming
All
around.
right, 50 meters, all stop. Okay, so he's happy. Watch your delta, because you're light. You're going to come up. So,
Okay.
Is this stick locked or something?
Put the auto depth on.
Okay, you're in auto. Okay, that's okay. So just hard lateral over. And you don't have, your nav is crappy, but you can use the compasses, right?
Should be around 340, something like that.
Yeah, and Argus should be pretty much on the ship's heading. More lateral, right? You need lateral, not ahead.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a head just to keep tight on the tether, but just nail the lateral. And you got all kinds of flow now. You can go hard over on it.
I thought it was there. Like at this point,
Yeah, now we're good.
the heading's not bad, but how do I know where I am? Like,
Because if these are in a line like this, you must be straight up behind the ship.
okay.
Right? So we're good. Let's come up. So you just fly all this manually now? You're up way too high here. Tell them to come up. Aaron? So you got to watch that. I don't know. You have auto on, but wasn't working very well.
Yeah, I don't have the auto on, right?
No, but you did, and it
Yep.
didn't do you well. All right, so just fly it manually up. Always keep a little ahead on.
Yeah.
Try and maintain a 0 delta. And you don't need the lateral over that way anymore, you see?
Yeah.
So little lateral, little the other way now. I'm going to change this. I said I'm going to change this. There we go. And I'm racking your camera in for you.
Okay to stop the sonar?
Yes, please. Okay, watch your delta. You got to come up more. Keep the head on at all times. That's just try and stay static. A little lateral to starboard. More lateral. Yeah. And more up, so you're getting dragged behind here. They're coming up a bit hot on the winch. Lateral. Keep the lateral on. Tell them to slow down on the winch. Go to 10 meters per
Air
minute.
control. Can we slow down on the winch, go to 10 meters per minute?
Well, they can't do that. They were just doing almost 20. That's their fault. Keep the head on. Yep. Oh, you're going down, Kim.
What? Going down. Jesus, that's helpful.
Push ahead, good too.
That,
Okay, you can ease off the verts. Just keep a little bit on. More lateral to starboard. looking good.
Bridge nav. Hold position.
Keep coming the way you're coming.
What did you say? We're about...
You're right there.
Oh.
So just lateral over hard.
Right.
I can put in a ship step if you want.
Oh, he's coming. He's making good headway.
Okay.
Now you may have to turn on that, Kim, if you don't. He's not making it. I think you can stop on the vert up. Just watch him, see if he goes under. You'll have to give it a shot. All right, go ahead. Watch your heading now. Don't come around anymore, but that's good. Drive ahead on that. Yeah, turn into it again like you were. You're doing good.
Jesus.
Getting there a little bit further.
Got that? Roger.
Keep coming. Might have to turn your head a little bit like you were. Yep. Now straighten up away from the ship. Just use your laterals to come over.
Right.
You're going to have to pull tight now. He's going to want you to be a tag line. Get the vehicle heading here. There you go. Pull out. Ahead and lateral starboard. I don't think you need the verts. There you go. Hold that. Zeus is going off, Tammy.
Got that, thank you.
Okay, so now he's on.
Yep.
Now you're trying to maintain this position and just back up a little bit. Use this wire cam to try and keep that from pulling tight. So this is a little bit, this is probably the part we have to fly the finest.
Right.
You don't get to just pull in one direction, right? You got to be finessing the stick a bit. You got to stay here for about 5 minutes or so till they get all their rigging done. Okay, pull out a little bit more. That's pretty slack there. Yeah, there you go. You're trying. So that's tight. So you try and stay in the middle. Try and get more on this side of the shiv wheel. There you go. You're doing it right. Turn into it. Yep, like you're doing. See, the current is enough. It's dragging you off. So, you know, lateral, often you can't do anything with that, right?
Too far.
Just be careful you don't overturn towards the ship. That's all, but you're doing good. All right. Try and hold that position.
Too tight.
I'm going to do all your little other bits, your lights and stuff, Kim.
Okay.
So yeah, try and stay more where you were in the middle of the shiv and the side of the A-frame.
Yeeks.
Yeah.
Having a lot of fun keeping my head.
Yep. I get used to it. Yeah, so drive hard over there again now. I don't see you driving ahead all the time. So turn your heading, and then, you know, you got to give it a lot of stick, right?
Okay, am I supposed to be coming around at this point?
Coming around?
Like towards the corner of the ship?
No, he doesn't have you on the, they're not really, you can see the lift line in the water, it's not tight.
Right.
Now, when you see that strain relief starting to go up,
yep.
Now it's tight. So now you're trying to drive out further and keep that line tight. So watch your heading.
Yep.
Yep, and then just drive ahead. And you can use your laterals to try and stay under the crane. That's good there. Now, the more line he gets hauled in, the easier it is, the less you're doing, right?
Right.
Jeez, the crane.
That was interesting.
So you want to be a little bit more over this way, but you're pretty good. Now you're okay where you are, I see, because he's swung around. So just ahead, just to try and keep that line taut. Yep, just lateral to starboard a bit now, I think. You can, it's hard to see with the angles, but you can see the wire in the strain relief.
Yeah.
Tell where you are.
Trying to keep
So
your But towards the base of the crane?
Yes, at all times, yeah. Mike is in a terrible spot. See this? See how I did it yesterday when you stand out of there?
Yeah.
Not a very good spot. See, it's getting easier and easier, right? You got less and less scope. If the vehicle was dead, he could bring it in just as easily.
Like, where do you stand differently than, like, further up on the bumper?
Back behind there.
Behind?
He's in a pretty good, I think, he's ahead of Argus there though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not so bad, but you gotta want, like, they're wearing the tether, right? You can't have that touching you like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like there's more room up there.
Yeah, I get back behind there. I go in and get it.
Yeah.
And then bring it out.
And then pull it over.
Yeah. Almost there. Yeah, all right.
Roger.
So do what he says. Just turn a little bit to go ahead. I push ahead on that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Just give it shots as you need to. That's okay now. He's got it.
Too worried about it smacking into the ship?
Well, I think you were just giving it a lot of effort and where it starts to come out of the water. Bump ahead, try and just get it under the crane. Yeah. There
Roger.
you go. I got it.
Roger.
Okay.
So here's
Then
bypass. Yep. Why not? You got it. Just watch this. And then the switch is right here.
Okay.
High power off.
Power off.
All right. Now you.
We got it back. In my experience, it doesn't always happen. I was on a cruise where we lost one of these. It's pretty exciting. It was a dark and stormy night. Okay, I see him turn the key off there. And now it's dead. Time on deck. Okay, he said I can leave now, right?
Control van ready for lates. Tammy. Yes. Are you sure? Does your head still hurt? Sorry.